Hey everyone, I hope you're ready to stretch with me on the ladder barrel. So today we're going to be doing all of our ballet stretches. So even though they're called ballet stretches, anyone can do them. I'm definitely not a dancer, although I like to try my best. So we're going to take one leg, we're going to bring it up on top of our ladder barrel. If your ladder barrel feels like it's a little too high for you, you can always either grab yoga block, or sometimes certain ladder barrels have a stand that you can stand up on just to make yourself a little bit taller. And then from here, press your tailbone and your sit bones back towards that ladder. I always like having my palms facing forward on the outsides of the rungs. And then all we're going to do is we're going to tip ourselves forward, really reaching through the crown of our head and pushing back with those sit bones. So you should feel nice and long through your back and not like you're hunching over. Reaching long. Having a few breaths here and really finding that depth and that length in the movement. We never want to feel like we're hanging and putting all this pressure on our knees and on our back. While you're here and while you're doing all these stretches, find some happy thoughts, find things that you're grateful for, like making the time for your stretching. If you do not have a ladder barrel, you can be doing these stretches on a chair, on a table, anything really. And then we're going to flex the foot here, getting into the calf. Happy thoughts again, find those grateful thoughts. Pressing that tailbone and those sit bones back behind you. Feeling really active. And we're going to take that leg and we're going to turn it out. So toes are more out to the outside. And then we're going to swivel it, turn it in. So toes are more into the inside. And as we're rolling it backwards and forwards, going along all the different calf muscles, all the different hamstrings. Still really reaching back through that tailbone. Feeling long through your spine. We're going to do one more all the way in, all the way out, back to center, and come all the way on up. Great job, guys. I know that's an intense stretch. We're going to bend the leg in, so foot's going to be flat on that barrel. And then from here, pressing into those hands, pushing your hip bones forward. You're looking for a stretch through the front of this hip, so really driving that heel down into the floor. And pushing your hips forward, pushing back into that ladder, and expanding your chest. And just check in every now and then, make sure that you're really pressing into everything. You're pressing into the barrel, you're pressing into the floor, you're pressing into your hands. And then we're going to come back on out of that. We're going to send the leg across for pigeon. So the foot's going to go out to the outside. You're going to bring your hands forward onto the barrel. You're in this big turnout. You're going to think about reaching your heel down onto the floor. Find that perfect spot for you. Everyone's a little different. And standing up here. If you want to make it a little different, you can always come forward over top of the barrel. For some people, this feels much deeper. For some people, it feels like more pressure on the knees. So again, listen to your body. Whatever variation feels right for you. I personally prefer thinking about pushing my hips forward and almost sending my chest and my body backwards. So I really get that full lengthened feeling. That's what makes me feel best in this movement. because I don't have the best external rotation in my hips. It's something that I work on, but that's not exactly my strongest suit. And have this last big breath here. Leaving those hips nice and open, we're going to pull ourselves back onto our ladder and then all the way back on down. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other leg here. So we're going to lift the other leg all the way up on top, pushing the sits bones back behind you, really pushing the floor away, and tipping yourself forward, finding length through your spine, pressing this hip down if you just want to hike up, and feeling long, strong, more flexible than you did yesterday. Deep breaths. Again, check in, make sure that you're not hanging in your joints and that you're really feeling active. And then we're going to flex in the foot, adding in that element of the calf to this. Driving that heel away, pushing the hip down, pushing the floor away. And then we're going to take that leg and we're going to turn it in and turn it out. And just kind of noticing what feels tighter, what way feels looser, and everything in between. Still reaching through the crown of your head and back through those sits bones. You're going to do one more to the inside, all the way to the outside, restacking your spine and then bending the leg in, bringing the foot flat, and then pushing into those hands, pushing into both the feet to bring your hips forward, opening up in the front of your hip, opening up in your chest. Again, if you're finding any tension anywhere, take those moments to feel grateful. Grateful that you made time for yourself. I feel grateful that you made time for your practice, that you're opening up your hips, moving into ranges that you didn't expect to move into. Growing your practice, maybe learning something new about either the movement or yourself. I'm going to take this last breath here and come all the way back on in, and then we're going to send that foot across for pigeon. Again, listen to your body. Whatever turnout feels right for you. Everyone's a little different. Making any adjustments that you need to make whenever you need to make them. Because this is your body and your practice. Again, if you wanted to, you can always tip your body over top of the barrel. But again, look for length here. Don't collapse in your spine. Or if you're like me, you can always press your hips forward, expand your chest backwards, looking for an opening through the front of your body. And just breathe. You have this last breath here. Coming all the way back on up and lowering that leg down. Awesome. So then we're going to come sideways on. We're going to lift the leg up over top of the barrel, reaching through your toes. There are two different ways that you can side bend here. Either you can have your outside hand on that ladder, pressing your hips into it and side bending over the way. Or, if you prefer, you can have your hand cross your body, grabbing hold of that ladder, and then side bending up and over for an even bigger stretch. Play around here whether you like your foot pointed or flexed. We're going to be here for about 5 breaths. One last big breath. Side bending yourself all the way back on up. We're going to bend the leg. The foot's going to be flat on that barrel. And again, we're thinking about pushing our body in towards that leg. Finding an opening through the hip. Maybe a stretch into the groin. And just check in with that bottom foot. Make sure it's not pointed inwards. If it is, it's just saying that your hips are really tight in this area. Work on getting it facing forward. We're going to have 2 more big breaths here. Awesome job, guys. And then we're going to come all the way back on down and we're going to do the other side. So coming on up, toes are pointed up towards the ceiling, hip bones pressing in towards the ladder. Either you're holding on with the outside hand, side bending towards the leg, or you're taking the inside hand, crossing it in front of your body, holding onto the ladder, and side bending over and towards the foot. And again, we're going to be here for about 5 breaths. One last big breath here. Coming all the way on up, and then we're bending the leg. The foot's going to be flat on that barrel, knees right up towards the ceiling. And when you're ready, you're inhaling to press on in towards that leg there. Opening up in your hips. Hip opening can sometimes release hidden emotions, trauma, things that you've kind of left in your body and never dealt with. So if you're finding yourself feeling any sort of emotional, like any sort of emotions, any sort of feelings, just let yourself feel them. Let yourself kind of go through them, process them. Let them go, let them flow. And have one last breath here. And then come all the way back on in. Really good job, guys. Now we're going to go to the back, and then we will be done. So, switching up the legs, you're going to send the foot onto the top here. You're facing away from the barrel, facing towards the ladder. Really press the top of your foot down, push your hips forward, and then softly tilt yourself back until you find a big stretch to your quad and your hip flexor. Again, really pressing the floor away, pressing into the barrel, pressing into that ladder, feeling connected to everything you're doing. You're never just hanging out in your joints. And have this last big breath here. And then we're going to come all the way on in, bring that foot down, other leg. Last but certainly not least, pressing the hip forward, pressing into those hands, squeezing your shoulder blades back and opening up the entire front line of your body. Feel that nice solid press and all the releases that come with it. Once you finish that last breath, you can come all the way on in, stepping that foot down, feeling the floor underneath your feet, maybe spreading apart your toes and all those good things. And I hope you had a wonderful time doing these ballet stretches with me. I hope you're feeling as loose, relaxed, and just all around delightful after all those awesome stretches. Again, you do not need a ladder barrel in order to do these. You can do them on a table, you can do them on your bed, anything really that's a little bit higher, maybe if you're in line with hip height. It could be lower if you're a little stiffer, could be higher if you're a little bendier. But anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day, and make sure to get in as much stretching, as much movement as you can, because it'll only make you feel just better. So